Well, hello and welcome back to another review. Today I'm comparing the wired version of the Kensington Expert with the wireless version of the Kensington Expert. I've decided to compare these two mice because pretty much I couldn't find any review whatsoever online that was actually comparing the two, and although this may be, and in many ways it will be, a very straightforward comparison, like, hey, this is just a wireless version of this, I was really interested in having an in-depth approach of reviewing these two devices and see, okay, are they absolutely identical in any sort of way? And well, to spoil you a little bit what this video will be about, in many ways these two mice are pretty much identical, but there are some minor differences, and so if you're interested into those, then just stick with it. I am using this very weird tablecloth because for whatever reason I was using this last review that I did where I was comparing a bunch of different trackballs all together. I had the Slim Blade, the Orbit, the Expert, the PRX. So if you're interested, you can actually check that video out. If you already did, I thought I would use this as a thumbnail so that you may recognize me if YouTube was gonna suggest a video to you. So now that I got that, I can actually remove it and use a much better looking wooden background. So here we are. Let me just quickly try to fix this. So first off, I always wanted to try this mouse out, and the only thing that really put me off was the look of it. I was never particularly fond of the way this mouse specifically looks. I thought it was a little bit weird with this big red ball, and to be fair, this big red ball does look odd, but when I found out, when I actually received this mouse, it was that actually by looking at it in real life, this looks much better in real life than it looks from pictures and videos that I've seen online. If you see this in person, well, this black, actually matte black finish on it, it looks really premium, it looks really good. And again, the only thing that still puts me off is this massive red ball. All the rest, it looks really fabulous, really nice. Maybe from camera it's gonna look boring, but again, this was good looking. And the same as to say for the ergonomics. By the look of it, I thought this would be ergonomically kind of less pleasing than the normal wired version of the Kensington Expert. And I was wrong, because this is actually pretty much identical. The only thing that I feared is that the pad where you actually place your wrist, it's a little bit more stiff than the pad that came with the Expert, but it can be simply that I've used the Expert much more than this because this is new, so this needs still to break in. Again, let me stress out the fact that I bought both these mice second-hand, not brand new. So you may say, okay, but the wrist pad, if it's second-hand, how come this is still so strong? And it's simply because I think the person that owned this mouse never really used it. In fact, he never really knew what this thing was. He thought it didn't have a dongle, but the dongle was inside, and he said, no, the dongle was lost. I think this person simply didn't have a clue what this mouse was about. So I'm tempted to believe that this mouse was kind of offered as a present to a person that never really clicked. See what I did there? Clicked with the idea of using a trackball device and just preferred a normal mouse instead. So with that being said, yes, a little bit more rigid, but it could simply be that I did use this one more, or maybe not. Maybe it is a little bit more rigid. But could you feel that while using it? No, not so much. To be fair, I'm enjoying the ergonomics of both these mice just about the same. When it comes to clicks, I was hoping for an improvement from the wired version of the Kensington Expert, because this is a more expensive mouse, so I thought that would be they would have put more money into the production of it as well. But if you've seen my previous comparison video where I'm comparing different mice again, you may remember that there is an annoying spring noise coming from the Expert, which is kind of annoying, but kind of may as well. I really don't know if you can pick this one up from the camera, but it is audible in real life. It's not really much of a deal breaker, but still I was hoping that this will not happen with the wireless version, but instead it's actually a little bit worse, and that's again probably due to the fact that this mouse is still pretty much new. So I remember the noise on this mouse being much louder before, so I'm tempted to believe that this will be less noisy very soon. So I would say the clicks are kind of the same. If ever, I feel like the clicks on this mouse are a little bit less nice. They feel a little bit less solid than the wired version. So I feel like these are a little bit less rock solid than this mouse. So yeah, I suspect I'm gonna give it a point to this mouse for now. But again, it could simply be because I need to use it a little bit more. So don't let this put you off again. You see where we're going? Pretty much minor differences. They are very similar. And again, the same thing for the scrolling ring. Unfortunately, no benefits in just buying the wireless version because it's exactly the same thing. It still is a little bit clicky when you use it. Still you end up hitting the ball while you're scrolling, sometimes clicking at the buttons as well. It is not ideal. I'm not a massive fan of this specific way of using the scroll ring, but so far it is one of the best nonetheless. So identical. This is exactly identical. There is one thing that was different between the two mice, and this was the DPI. Again, mild difference, but I've done this test that I did also before in the other video, which was like placing my finger on the very end of the ball, on the left end of the ball, and going all the way to the right end of the ball and see where the cursor end up on the same screen with the accelerator option turned off. So by doing the same test, I figured that the wireless version has got a little bit more cursor. It goes more to the right than it does with the wired version of the Kensington Expert. But it is a very little bit. It is noticeable, but a very little bit. But hey, yeah, it's got more DPI apparently. I can't tell you how much it is because oddly enough Kensington doesn't really give you this number. So officially, I don't know. It's just an empirical test that I ran myself, and I found that this has got more. So I thought I'd let you know. Another thing I was wondering about, because I wasn't particularly happy about the color of the ball, I was like just wondering, can you swap them around? And the answer is yes, you can. Although when you do that, first off, this mouse becomes just a Batman mouse, a bat mouse. It's just what it is. It's completely matte black now. I believe it's gorgeous this way. I think it should have been released in this way. I think it was a mistake to put that big red ball because it looks just so much better in this way. Although apart from for the look, when it comes to actually using the mice, I figured that when you do swap the ball, they do work, but there is a very little bit of a shakiness in the cursor as soon as you place your hand on. So you place your hand on and you see just the cursor just moving up very little bit. It's like a fraction of a millimeter, so it's totally usable. But and again, if you were gonna receive the mouse in this condition, you wouldn't really tell that this is not the ball that belongs here, although it's there. So by just using the original ball, you would have a better experience. I suspect this is for somebody that really hates the look. And there are not many, because I know I'm probably the only person who's complaining about the look. Many people may actually like it the way it is, but if you do find it a little bit off-putting with this red and black combined together, it's a little bit bold and distracting on your studio desk, and you want something a little bit more grey, more low profile, well, you can try it out. You can, if you have an expert wired version, you can just swap them around, or you could buy a ball that is for the wired version, and you can play and have fun with it as well. I suspect they may do also other different colored version, maybe a third party blue ball or whatever. You can try it out and have fun with it. When it comes to the price, I don't have an exact number, because I figured that the price of these mice are just changing all the time. I believe it has to do with the lockdown, because in this period we are all locked in the house, we're working online, we're doing online Zoom classes and meetings for work and etc. So I think these sort of items are really hot right now, and I think there has been a huge bump in the prices. So when you go to Amazon, I think this was around 60 bucks, and I think this was around 80 bucks brand new, but I'm referring to probably a year ago. And I think if you were gonna buy these two mice right now, I think this is about now 85 bucks, sometimes even 90 pounds brand new, and I think this is around 100 or 115 pounds. But again, the prices are going up and down, so by the time you're watching this video, the prices could be completely different. I don't know, maybe you're a luckier person that you're not in a lockdown at all, so I really don't know. I hope the prices will be much lower right now. So is it worth the extra bucks? That's the big question here. And to be fair, again, I couldn't find any review whatsoever that was comparing the two. So from a personal point, I believe yes, it is worth, because if you really like the Kensington Expert and you're used to it, you like the form factor, well, there's nothing less in the wireless version. You're actually having a little bit more, some added bonus there, which is the wireless capability. So you don't have the cable. And why on earth would you not want a cable on a trackball mouse that stays still all the time on your desk and you're never gonna move around like you would with a normal mouse? Well, because if you have a busy desktop, and I do, and I'm just gonna show you. I do have a busy desktop, and I have many things there, and really I benefit with some extra space, because quite often I desire to remove things from the desk and then maybe write some notes, or sometimes say that I'm gonna need to graphic design. I wouldn't necessarily need a mouse for that, maybe just a tablet and a keyboard on the side, it would be just enough. So these mice are occupying quite a lot of space, so having the possibility to just get it off the table and make some space for something else that is more useful depending to what I need to do, well, for me was a big bonus, also because I'm not a big fan of cables and stuff, and with this mouse having the possibility to connect with the dongle and the Bluetooth, well, it's a big plus. A little funny story about this mouse. I told you that I got this one second hand. The guy had no clue what was using probably, or what he had, or what was selling. And also he thought I didn't have the dongle, so he said I'd lost it or whatever. But then when I got it, I was very happy to realize that the dongle was squeezed into this wee compartment. So if you're getting the mouse and you're getting it second hand, because again, the prices of brand new are insane, sky high. So if you're deciding to get it second hand, you can get in touch with the seller and see, hey man, maybe you do have the dongle, but you don't know, because this is working in Bluetooth, and I know in 2020 most of the people do prefer use Bluetooth. I personally don't, because I use different computers all the time, so for me it's more comfy to use the dongle for whatever reason. But hey, everybody's got a choice, and you do have a choice to use this one in Bluetooth and in normal wireless with the dongle that came with it. So check this out, it may have it already installed inside, and so by having the dongle and the Bluetooth capabilities, this is one of the very few mouse that will have this possibilities. And well, already this is worth the extra bucks. So I think for me this was a thumbs up, and I think again it will look cooler on your desktop just by not having the cable. Again, I'm not I don't want to bash on this mouse because I do like it, I do love it, and I feel like this looks still probably a little bit better than the wireless. Although again, when I got it, it was much better looking than I thought. So this will be my new keeper. So this will be the part 2 pretty much of the ultimate trackball comparison review. Whatever trackballs you want to try out, whatever trackballs I did try out, probably this is the best so far. So big thumbs up if you like the video, and if you do want me to go and maybe make a in-depth review of the Kensington Wireless Expert mouse, then maybe you can just write it down in the comment box. I may consider it, although I decided to do this review because there were no other videos whatsoever online that were comparing these two specific mice. So there are some other reviews of this mouse already around, so it would be just something, if you do request me to do it, I will do it, otherwise I may do just something else. But please click that subscribe button and that like button, and stay in touch. Until now, bye, cheers.